Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another Versus Night. Tonight, I will be comparing Platoon from 1986 versus Full Metal Jacket from 1987. So, let's begin this with the leads. Platoon stars Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe. Full Metal Jacket stars Matthew Modine and Adam Baldwin. Now, both of these films are Vietnam War films. One is set more in the line of fire out there on the battlefield with Platoon, and then the other is half of the film is in training, and then the rest of the time is where they're supposed to be going into combat. And out of the performances in these, Tom Berenger gives a completely different performance than you've ever seen him do in this film. Tom Berenger is usually very likable. I've done a previous Versus Night about Eddie and the Cruisers, and his character in that was very likable. And this, not so much so. His character in this is a very despicable sergeant in the military that is he's just losing his marbles. He's going completely insane. And this character, he's a very intriguing character to watch, but it's almost hard to watch him because of how demented he gets as this film progresses. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, his, co-lead in here, Willem Dafoe, is again playing against type as well, because he's normally playing the villainous characters, the bad guys, and in this, he is the good guy sergeant. He is the guy that actually cares about his men and really is supported by his troops around him. So it is so unique to get to see an actor who is a, likable good guy with Tom Berenger playing against type, and a guy that's known for playing the bad guys playing against type in the same film and working off of each other. And they do so well working off of each other. I mean, Tom Berenger's playing despicable, really good against Willem Dafoe's, good guy sergeant character. And it never comes off as forced. They both are excellent in their portrayals. Now, Full Metal Jacket, Matthew Modine, he's okay in his role of Joker in this film. And Adam Baldwin, ironically, wasn't even their first choice to play in Full Metal Jacket. That was originally Arnold Schwarzenegger, of all people. He was supposed to be playing that role, but he decided to go work on Running Man instead. So, to me, I don't think there's a comparison between these two. I mean, the dramatic and great performances of Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe are leaps and bounds above Matthew Modine and Adam Baldwin's performances in Full Metal Jacket. So I'm going to give this one to Platoon. All right, so let's move on to supporting. The supporting cast in Platoon consists of Charlie Sheen, Keith David, Forrest Whitaker, Francesco Quinn, Kevin Dillon, John C. McKinley, and Johnny Depp. The supporting cast in Full Metal Jacket consists of Vincent D'Onofrio, R. Lee Ermey, Dorian Harwood, Arliss Howard, Kevin Major Howard, Ed O. Ross, and John Terry. Now, supporting cast in Platoon is quite an impressive group of young, up-and-coming actors that, aside from Keith David, the rest of these are mostly young up-and-comers that would end up going on to bigger things, preferably, Johnny Depp, and of course Charlie Sheen. So these performances in Platoon, these younger guys working off of Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe as their commanding officers, their sergeants and everything. Very good performances between all of these supporting actors. Charlie Sheen, of course, is the major standout in this, in the supporting cast for Platoon. He almost, I guess you could say, is a third lead in there, but considering the way that I format this versus night, I had to put him in supporting because I couldn't very well have three co-leads in there. So, and quite frankly, I don't think Charlie Sheen gets as much screen time anyway as Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe. So, but every one of these guys on here is really good in their roles. Francesca Quinn really stands out in this film as one of the bigger standouts in the film alongside Charlie Sheen. And he's one of them that didn't really have a standout career after this film, unfortunately. This was an impressive film for him, but he never really reached the same heights as Charlie Sheen, Forrest Whitaker, John C. McGinley, and Johnny Depp. On the side of the Full Metal Jacket supporting, most of these actors on here never really did much after Full Metal Jacket, with the exception of, some TV work and, some supporting roles where you see these people in stuff like Edo Ross was in quite a bit after this, but Dorian Harwood, Arliss Howard, and Kevin Major Howard, they never really did much after this one. Vincent D'Onofrio and R. Lee Ermey are the standouts for sure amongst the supporting cast in Full Metal Jacket. And to me, R. Lee Ermey, while he's on screen in his early moments as the drill instructor in there, is the star of the film, in my opinion.
I admire your honesty. Hell, I like you. You can come over to my house and fuck my sister. How tall are you, Private? Sir, 5'9", sir! 5'9". I didn't know they stacked shit that high.
He just steals the film. And Vincent D'Onofrio's Private Pile, he does a really great job in this, and you could see how he was going to become a future star because of what a great role he did in this film. So this one is a really hard one to do just because of how great Vincent D'Onofrio and R. Lee Ermey are in Full Metal Jacket, but you have all these great performances in the supporting on Platoon. So this one I am going to give a tie. They are probably equal just because of the greatness of Vincent D'Onofrio and R. Lee Ermey. Now let's move on to the stories. Platoon is set in 1967 Vietnam, in which a young Army volunteer discovers the ugly side of war, among them with one of his sergeants snapping in the line of fire. Full Metal Jacket is set in 1968 during the Vietnam War. Many recruits go through training on Parris Island and witness the eventual downfall of one of their fellow recruits, who eventually kills their drill sergeant. If I was just judging the story, just from the first 40 minutes of Full Metal Jacket, I would be giving the story to Full Metal Jacket. But unfortunately, Full Metal Jacket really loses its steam, if you will, after the death of R. Lee Ermey's character. That, I think, killing off both him and Vincent D'Onofrio like that, having Private Pyle snap and kill him and then kill himself, it just left a whole void in the rest of the film, and a void that I don't think Matthew Modine and Adam Baldwin could fill. As far as the story for Platoon, it is consistent, it is well done, it is set in the field, in battle, the whole film. You have horrific moments happening, it is well done, well put together, well acted, all the way through. There is no moments where it feels off and it doesn't feel consistent. That is the problem with Full Metal Jacket in comparison with Platoon. As I said before, the training sequences with R. Lee Ermey and Vincent D'Onofrio are incredible. If the whole movie had been like that, there would be no debate here. But it does have that downward spiral, and once those characters are gone, this film never, in my opinion, ever recovers. So I'm going to give this one to Platoon. All right, now let's look at direction. Platoon was directed by Oliver Stone. Full Metal Jacket was directed by Stanley Kubrick. Now, both of these directors are giants in their field. Oliver Stone made a gritty, almost sometimes hard to watch war film here. And it's just a testament to him as a director that he, made sure to seek out the best actors to perform these characters. Like I said, Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe, Charlie Sheen, Francesco Quinn, all are big standouts in this film. Stanley Kubrick in Full Metal Jacket, as I said in the story, he directs the film very, very well in those training sessions. In the training scenes on Parris Island, we are fully invested in the story. But his script lets him down, and it falters long before the end with them killing Hartman. Hartman as a character should have been kept in the film. And if they wanted to go that route of killing him like that, the film should have just centered around this training at Paris Island and just ended on that bad note. Because if you ended there, this film was the greatest of all time. But after that ends, Stanley Kubrick directs almost like a second different film. And it just feels so off from what we've seen prior to this. So I'm going to give direction to Oliver Stone for Platoon. Giving it the win on this night for a total score of 4-1. I really like I said, I like Full Metal Jacket in those sequences on Paris Island. But past that, the film has no redeemable qualities to me, unfortunately. I lost all interest in this film once it hits that area. That's just my preference, though. If you enjoyed Full Metal Jacket, do not let that discourage you. Anyway, hope you have enjoyed this Versus Night war films. And if you have, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan.
Well, that's the end of another Versus Night. If you missed last week's Versus Night, check out the link up in here. Or if you've missed any of the other Versus Nights, check out our playlist and see anything that you have missed.